Respect doesn't disappear when you fail. It disappears the second people feel you need them emotionally. And most people expose that weakness every single day. Not through emotion, through explanation. One unnecessary justification. One rushed attempt to clear misunderstanding. One moment where you need somebody to see you correctly. That's all it takes. You can literally watch the shift happen in real time. Replies get shorter. Attention fades. Their tone turns politely fake. Because the second people feel your emotional state depends on their perception of you, the dynamic changes. Suddenly you're talking more than before, explaining faster, trying harder, not realizing every extra word makes you look weaker. Calm men let silence sit. They let misunderstanding breathe. Weak people can't emotionally survive being seen the wrong way. So they explain, clarify, defend, trying to force perception back in their favor. But every explanation carries the same message. Please don't see me this way. That's the weakness. Not emotion. Dependence. And once people feel that weakness in you, they never look at you the same again. The need to be understood ruins people faster than failure ever will. Failure can look strong. Desperately trying to control perception never does, because the second somebody feels you need them to see you correctly, you lose psychological position instantly. Now they can feel your self-image moving underneath their opinion. That changes the entire interaction. Your restraint disappears. Your timing speeds up. Your reactions become too immediate. Now you're explaining things nobody even questioned yet. That's the giveaway. Not emotion. Urgency. The urgency to repair perception before silence has time to exist. Kierkegaard said, "Even if one were merely trying to avoid misunderstanding, one would become the most thoroughly misunderstood of all. Because the harder you try to control perception, the more exposed you become. That's the trap. One strange look, and suddenly you're clarifying. One cold response, and now you're explaining energy shifts nobody mentioned, because you cannot tolerate uncertainty. Calm people don't rush to escape misunderstanding. Weak people experience misunderstanding like suffocation, so they rush to force clarity. But forcing clarity destroys tension, and tension is where presence comes from. The less you chase interpretation, the heavier you feel. The more urgently you explain yourself, the lighter you become. That is the hidden weakness. Not emotion, dependence on perception. And the dangerous part? Most people expose it every single day without noticing. Watch what happens the moment silence enters a room. You immediately try to fix it. Not because something happened, because silence removes control. That's why you start leaking unnecessary information. Sorry, I've just been stressed. Nobody asked. That sentence wasn't honesty. It was emotional self-defense. Then comes the panic clarifying. That's not what I meant. Again, too fast. Too eager. Too much need underneath the words, and people feel that need immediately. Especially when you keep trying to prove you're a good person. That one is deadly, because the need to be seen as good usually means you cannot emotionally survive disapproval. So now every interaction becomes image maintenance. Every silence feels threatening. Every misunderstanding feels personal. Every shift in energy demands immediate repair. That is why calm people feel dangerous. They do not rush to close tension. They let people sit inside uncertainty. Weak people can't. They need emotional resolution now, and the more you need immediate reassurance, the less respect you quietly command. Most people hearing this will recognize themselves, feel exposed for 30 seconds, then return to the exact same behaviors tomorrow. Because self-awareness is easy. Restraint is hard. If you're one of the rare people willing to stop performing emotional damage control every time tension appears, subscribe. Because this channel is not here to comfort you. It's here to remove illusions. Respect drops the moment people feel your emotions are being managed externally. That's the mechanism. Not weakness, not insecurity, dependence. People trust emotional containment, not perfection, containment. The ability to stay internally stable without turning the room into emotional life support. That's why calm people feel powerful before they even speak. No urgency. No emotional leakage. No need to repair perception every 12 seconds. Now compare that to somebody emotionally negotiable. One cold reply changes their mood. One shift in tone changes their behavior. One misunderstanding hijacks their nervous system. Now everybody around them feels the instability. And instability kills respect fast. Because emotionally unstable people feel expensive to be around. That's the part nobody says out loud. The problem isn't emotion. The problem is emotional negotiation. Trying to manage people emotionally so you can feel okay internally. That behavior destroys gravity. Watch this carefully. One person enters tension and immediately starts managing perception, explaining energy, fixing reactions, trying to regain control of the room emotionally. Now watch somebody else. Silence enters. Nothing happens. No panic, no performance, and suddenly they feel heavier than everybody there. That's why calm people control rooms without trying, not dominance, nervous system control. That's the real hierarchy. And the irony is brutal. The more you try to control how people see you, the more controlled by people you become. Marcus Aurelius said, "I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others." That's the trap. Now your emotional state moves with perception. Approval becomes regulation. Silence becomes threat. Misunderstanding becomes panic. Now you're not living anymore. You're monitoring reactions for emotional survival. And people can feel that immediately. Quick question. When somebody misunderstands you, what bothers you more? The misunderstanding itself, or the loss of control over how you're being seen? Be honest. Drop it in the comments. The truly dangerous people are easy to miss because they don't perform power. They don't enter rooms trying to win reactions, trying to impress, trying to control how everybody feels about them in real time. Most people do. You can literally watch it happen. Somebody tells a story, nobody reacts strongly enough, and suddenly they start adding details nobody asked for. Talking faster, laughing harder, trying to pull validation out of dead air before the silence exposes them. That's not confidence collapsing. That's dependence being revealed. Weak people are constantly adjusting themselves emotionally. Different tone with different people, different personality in different rooms, different opinions depending on who's listening. Because they are not grounded internally. They are emotionally renting themselves to the environment. And people feel that instability immediately. That's why some people walk into a room and instantly lose authority without saying anything wrong. Their nervous system is already asking for permission. Permission to be liked. Permission to be accepted. Permission to exist comfortably. That energy destroys respect before words even start. Now compare that to somebody emotionally self-contained. Not cold, not detached, untouchable internally. You judge them. Their breathing barely changes. You misunderstand them. They don't rush to rescue their image. You go silent. They don't perform emotional CPR on the conversation. That kind of restraint becomes intimidating fast, because now people can't predict your emotional movement anymore. And unpredictability creates tension. That's why emotionally dependent people are easy to manipulate. All you have to do is control perception. Ignore them, delay a reply, change your tone slightly. Now watch how fast their behavior changes. Now watch how quickly they start overperforming emotionally just to regain stability. That is psychological ownership. And most people are living inside it without realizing it. The strongest people are not the loudest. They are the hardest to emotionally move. That's real power, not aggression, not dominance, emotional non-cooperation, the refusal to emotionally bend every time perception shifts. And people feel that instantly, because silence becomes heavier around people who don't need reassurance. That's why restraint creates gravity, not talking less, needing less. Most people never realize this dynamic exists, which is exactly why emotionally dependent behavior became normal in the first place. If this video exposed something you've been seeing your entire life but never fully understood, like the video, and send it to somebody who still mistakes emotional reacting for authenticity. Real strength starts the moment you stop needing people to emotionally return you to yourself. That's the shift. Most people never reach it. One cold reaction destroys their stability for hours. Now they're replaying conversations in private, rewriting messages, defending themselves to imaginary arguments that never even happened. All because somebody's perception moved slightly. That is slavery, emotional slavery. And most people live inside it their entire lives without realizing it. Nietzsche understood this immediately. Every deep thinker is more afraid of being understood than of being misunderstood, because needing understanding is dangerous. The second you need people to understand you, they own part of your nervous system. Now your emotions move with reactions. Tone changes you. Silence changes you. Distance changes you. One unread message changes your behavior. And the terrifying part is, people can feel that dependency without you saying a word. That's why some people lose respect while trying desperately to communicate better. They explain too much, correct too quickly, reveal too much emotional movement, trying to force perception back under control before rejection fully forms. But calm people don't do that. You misunderstand them. They remain still. You withdraw. They remain still. You judge them incorrectly. They do not emotionally collapse trying to rescue their image. That restraint creates something most people never develop: psychological weight. Because the less somebody needs from you emotionally, the harder they become to control. Weakness is not emotion. Weakness is needing other people to stabilize your emotions for you. That's why emotionally dependent people always feel lighter in the room. Too reactive, too eager, too easy to move. But people who stop emotionally negotiating for understanding become different. Harder to shake, harder to read, harder to manipulate. And people feel that immediately. The strongest people are usually the ones who no longer need to be emotionally held together by other people. If this exposed something uncomfortable in you, good. The next video on your screen exposes the behaviors that silently destroy respect before people ever say it out loud. Watch it now, subscribe, and go through the playlist carefully. because most people never realize how much weakness they leak through behaviors they still call normal